Well, take a look. This is a state-of-the-art school with a name that's 50 years old, and it's reopening this weekend in Sterling Heights. Dekeyser Elementary first opened in 1971 in the Utica Community School District, but over the past year it was completely overhauled, changing everything about the school, including how students learn and how they're kept safe. I was able to get a sneak peek inside.
You'll notice here that we have whiteboard options and bulletin board options.
Oh.
But what's really awesome
storage
is the storage.
Jennifer Trupp is a third grade teacher at Dekeyser Elementary in Sterling Heights. She has spent her entire 25-year teaching career in one school.
Back here we have our student coat room.
Or at least under one school name, because Dekeyser Elementary looks nothing like it used to, starting with what they are calling learning communities, shared spaces where classes can come together.
Looking around, you can see so many areas in which we can do our science projects, our art projects. There's opportunities for us to come together to learn as a group and then break off into groups.
It reminds me of that Step Brothers scene where there's so much room for activities. But they still have their own classrooms with a layout much different than it used to be. This is video the district took before demolition. You can see the wide open concept, not many walls and few doors. Many love the collaborative space, but all knew it wasn't safe. Hence this complete overhaul. There's no direct contact to students. There seems to be multiple layers before you get to a classroom where kids are going to be.
So there's only one main corridor. It's in the shape of an L at Dekeyser Elementary.
Is that's by design?
By design. Very, very intentional, because if we talked about earlier, if we had this open concept where it was just a massive media center, open environment for our staff, you could go anywhere and anywhere in Dekeyser Elementary. Now with this L-shaped concept, you get to different compartments in the school building, all by grade levels.
Superintendent Bob Monroe says the building design adds layers of protection between visitors and students.
A seal from the main corridor into the learning community, and then even from the learning community, if we had to get into a safety situation, they would not just stay in the safety of this learning community, they would still go into their door of their classroom, where you would continue to see secured glass and not being able to breach this door.
Even the doors themselves have security features. So if there's a problem, this door, you can press a button and it basically shuts down.
There is technology that does support that particular action, and also the windows, both above and beyond, actually secure that crash bar so that we don't allow anything to actually come, anyone or anybody to come into the building, right?
While safety is a main design feature, it isn't the only design feature.
Natural lighting that comes through skylights that are coming from the top, so that we get that natural light, because obviously even light is research-based to have an effect in mental health, and also the the instructional prowess behind our students and how they approach things. Not just chrome and brown desktops,
that's what we're used to.
Right, we're used to
cinder block and brown.
Right, yeah. And at the elementary, you can even see like the seating. I mean, the seating is so different. There's comfortable seating, there's flex seating, there's rocker seating, because we know certain habits and behaviors for students actually lend themselves towards their learning. Even say natural dividers and these comfortable couches which they can sit with their peers and maybe do a group reading assignment. I mean,
I never got to sit in the couch at school.
No, we didn't encourage it, right? It was sit in your desk.
You cannot believe that this is an elementary school.
Tracy DeWitt is a teacher too, but also has 3 kids that will all be going here.
We do drive-bys on the daily to take a look at it, see if the gates are open, when can we go on the playground. I mean, like, it's pure excitement at this point.
And it appears the feeling is mutual.
I'm always excited to meet my new kids and try something new in the classroom, but this year there's an underlying buzz that goes with it.
So we have a roundtable of guests to talk about the new security and the new learning communities. They can explain all of the thought process when we come back in 90 seconds. Welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. Our guest for today's roundtable, Robert Monroe, the superintendent of Utica Community Schools. Shannon Hancock is the Dekeyser principal. You get the brand new shiny building. And the assistant superintendent for auxiliary services is John Graham. Thank you so much for being here, the 3 of you. So the story aired yesterday. We showed you a longer version of it just now. There's so much excitement and buzz about this. A lot of the questions and feedback we've gotten so far from the community is, that's awesome. how do they plan something like that? So John and everybody, kind of walk me through the behind the scenes of how you take down a school, rebuild it in a year that's completely different. What was that process like?
Yeah, Nick, I'll start off by just saying, we first of all want to thank our community for this. It's been a long time coming. We haven't done a new elementary building in almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So to just work with our community and start, talking about infrastructure again is very important because we have always had a focus on instruction and making sure we're doing great things for our kids in the classroom. But now we want those learning spaces around our kids to come to life and really take hold and really make, education happen in a different way than what we did before. So we came to our voters back in 2023 and we proposed a bond renewal or a bond issue so that we could start talking about new infrastructure and starting to do great change in our elementary school buildings. And it came to life.
What was the price tag on this building?
It was $500 for this building itself,
Yep.
right around $32 million.
Okay.
And when we say that, it's a reconstruction. So if you talk about brand new construction, it would have been significantly higher in the cost. But when you talk about foundation, you talk about the bones of the building, it was fantastic. So we started a very aggressive plan to make sure that we could do a reconstruction in approximately a year's worth of time.
I know, that's the definition of aggressive right there. John, I wanted to ask you, obviously it's all about the kids and the education. That's number one. But safety and security has become almost, if not equally important. So, and I am not saying anything bad about the old Dekeyser, right? But, it was a wide open space and I loved it when I was there. But I think the bottom line is that it wasn't safe, right? One door in and you get access to everybody. That had to be probably your number one thought process.
It was, but really the design process we went through was how do you marry the instructional needs of the building with the security needs of the building. And of course we want a fun and inviting environment for the students, but how do you provide that security while still making it feel fun and not feel like security was your focus?
Yeah.
So, I can honestly say the focus of the building and the design of our learning communities are the fun and inviting aspects of teaching and learning.
Yep.
And then we sat down together and how do we incorporate security into that so we actually hit both goals at the same time.
So Shannon, you get the amazing job of actually opening the doors and being with the kids in the school every single day. It seems to me like the design is so much so that it's incredibly safe. The kids don't even know it.
Absolutely. It's an amazing space. We still have that same family feel.
Yeah.
We still have the ability to be together as a large group, even though we have the separate learning communities.
Right. So can you kind of dive into what the learning communities do? Like, what's the purpose there? How does that work?
So the learning communities give us that flexibility to do all different types of learning, which is amazing. So we have 4 different learning communities, so our grade levels are able to share a space. So we have spaces where we have our kindergarten learning community by itself, and then we have our 1st and 2nd grade learning community, a 3rd and 4th, and a 5th and 6th. So those teachers are able to have their classrooms and then also come into this large, amazing learning space that has 3 separate learning areas, and they can do a tremendous amount of activities in there.
And a question for anybody here, we were just looking at video of that learning community, is that now there's neon colors and natural windows and couches and cubbies to take, maybe not take naps in, but maybe relax. That was not the school that we grew up in, right? It was, as you mentioned earlier, cinder block, brown desks. It wasn't this cozy environment.
Yeah.
But there's been studies, and please fill me in because I don't know anything about them, that say that the environment is just as important as the instruction.
Yeah, Nick, I'll start that and certainly turn it over to my team here. When we thought about the intentionality of this building in a very short time frame, we wanted to do our research very, very quickly. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure was, and John hit this, was we wanted a safe and secure building, but we really wanted to be intentional about the energy in the building and making sure that when kids entered that building, day in and day out, years to come, that there was great energy around learning. So colors, natural light that comes into those learning community spaces. The classrooms were very dedicated to making sure that we had natural light coming into those spaces as well. But if you walked in, and I know you saw some of the pictures there, the furniture colors, everything's bright, vibrant, brings positive energy into the classroom each and every day. And the research is very clear. Just natural light alone improves student achievement.
Really? Okay, so then who got to do the furniture shopping? Was it you?
Actually, it was collaborative efforts. So we worked with our interior designers who kind of got us started with a selection of furniture. But then in the year that we were reconstructing Dekeyser, we moved the students and the staff to another building in our district, and we actually did a year-long furniture pilot at that building with some of this innovative furniture. Where
So the kids got to test it out
and
then.
the teachers got to experience it in the classrooms as well as a model learning community, and really develop, what really worked best for them in their environments. And then, our final selections were based on that pilot.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna take a short 90-second break. When we come back, I wanna talk more about the collaboration and how teachers get to work together, and maybe the 6th graders get to work with the kindergartners. We'll see, we'll be right back. It's saying the song. I'm like, what is... Right, welcome back everybody. We are here with the Utica Community Schools Board, the superintendent, principal, and assistant superintendent for UCS, talking about Dekeyser and the things that they are doing here with this new school. I would imagine, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, that there are other districts, other principals and leaders who see this and say, we're looking for something similar, we want to do. Have you heard from other leaders across Metro Detroit saying, this is really cool, we want to do something similar?
Yeah, well, I would say, talking to my colleagues, superintendents across the county, they're certainly asking, what's going on? What are you doing over there? When we talk about instructional design, that is a great conversation that we've been having. Just the intentionality, and I've said this time and time again, just about how we want these learning spaces to be for our kids, from the classroom itself, anywhere from square footage to the design of the furniture to the desktops to what the teachers have as far as technology goes, very deliberate. And then we've even come up with a presentation around how do these learning community spaces work in conjunction with those classrooms. So when we've had those conversations, then the next conversation is, hey, can we take a look at that?
Yeah, take us on a tour.
What exactly does it look like? Because it lends itself to something that our elementary teachers do, and particularly very well. They do small group instruction very well. So now when you see small group instruction inside of a classroom where they're really rotating and pulling kids directly to them that maybe need direct support, then they're bringing them into the learning communities as well and giving them now different spaces and different feels along with the instruction that they're delivering each and every day.
What I love about that is, and we talked about this a little bit during our tour, is that it really opens the doors to possibilities on pulling, let's say, the 3rd grade classes out of their classrooms, and you are going to work on our project, we're going to have the science projects over here, and that collaboration, I think, and again, my opinion, because I'm a college professor, I don't work in the K-12 world, is that when you give the students the opportunity to work together in groups like that, it better prepares them for what the real world is going to be. Is that true?
Absolutely. We've had the opportunity to put our students in so many different learning environments, and so we've had the opportunity to practice. We have pod pals where our students are able to go to different classrooms and different teachers all throughout the building. We have opportunities where our classrooms come together as an entire grade level and they work in that space. We also do cross-curricular activities with our partners. There's just so many different ways that our teachers have worked over the last few years to get prepared for this. We knew this was coming, so we've really had the opportunity to really think about what we want that to look like and to give our students that awesome opportunity to learn in so many different ways.
I mean this question with no disrespect at all, but this seems like a fairly common sense solution that has taken the industry a very long time to adopt. Why is it that just putting some rooms together is something that we really haven't thought about before? Nobody wants to answer that.
That's a great question.
I would say it's an evolution of thought. I mean, I think the true testament to a successful design is the fact that it looks effortless, if you will, right? It looks like, well, this was
doesn't look like a big deal.
It's so simple. Why didn't we do this before? This was a process. I mean, there was a year of discussion and working with teaching and learning and working with security and trying to figure out how all that works together to come up with this model space. And that, I think that is, like I mentioned, a great testament that it looks easy.
And we highlighted this in the story earlier, but those communities also add that extra layer of protection, security. And your discussions, what came first, the chicken or the egg here? Was it the instructional spaces, or was it the security, or was it kind of a tandem conversation?
Yeah, I'll start that first. Every conversation we have is about making sure that school safety is top priority, making sure that that is the backbone of design and what we look at very deliberately. Moving forward then, how do we incorporate that and make it look seamless in the instructional space or whatever we're designing? And again, I've said this before, it's very important or it's easier when you're looking at a reconstruction or you're really taking some aggressive measures to change spaces in different areas of a building to incorporate all those safety features and make it, sit into the background. But yet, when we talk about it and people see it, they're like, wow, that was very intentional. It's very similar like that, the L corridor where, a media center that took up virtually 3/4 of the
almost
building.
the entire building,
It was almost the entire building. We took just one major corridor, which then spidered off into these different compartments that gave us a safe and secure way to seal off specific compartments for school safety. It was a very intentional design to do it. But Nick, one thing, and you asked a question around, how did we get here? I have to tell you, the collaboration efforts, it wasn't just 2 or 3 people in a room that said, hey, this is what it's going to look like. We have engaged so many people. Teachers and principals, different administrators, auxiliary service teams, architects, designers, you name it, to get to this place.
Which can be tough to do because you get so many cooks in the kitchen.
No doubt.
They have a lot of ideas.
No doubt. And we had a lot of ideas. And as you talked about, it was a short time frame to get it all done.
Yeah.
So we were very, very aggressive to make sure that we were narrowing down what is it and what it's going to look like. And you know what? We all had that aha moment that you asked. It was, wow, this seems very, very deliberate and very common sense as far as how we're approaching this.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, last comment I'll make, when you do something like that, it lends itself to ease of use. So when we see our teachers coming in and different personnel, they're like, oh yeah, this is like business as usual coming into a new learning space. But yet, it's going to be new, it's going to be creative, it's going to be energized.
With extra storage, I think that's what they're really excited about.
Yes.
Okay, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming. And producer Mary says I have to end the conversation or she'll be very angry with me. Thank you again for all your time. I can't wait. Just a reminder for everybody, there is an open house at Dekeyser this coming Sunday, 2 p.m. Doors open at 1, program at 2. They're going to do shuttles from the Stevenson High School because parking it's elementary school. There's not a whole lot of spots there. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have an update over on Local 4.